What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose, delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. I've got a bunch of comics out myself. They are on my website and on Amazon. I'm an independent comic creator, and I would appreciate you checking out my work. If you like my taste in comics, you just might like what I'm doing too. So thank you very much for all who do so. We've been seeing some good successes lately on that level, and I really appreciate the readers and, of course, the people who view too. Hopefully one day I'll hook you guys and get you in for the books themselves. All right, this is the Epic Collection Fantastic Four, Volume 7. This goes from 1970 to 1972, and this is the end of Stan Lee's run on Fantastic Four. So Jack Kirby has recently quit the book. He's rage quit, left Marvel for good reason. And this is Fantastic Four 105 through 125, just a standard 21 issues back to back. Good stuff right here. John Buscema does all the art on this, except for, I guess, Romita starts off. Romita does a couple issues, then Buscema does it. If you notice, both of them actually take to the Jack Kirby style of things. So they kind of do that, the head structure and sort of the way that their faces are structured. It looks like they try to copy Jack Kirby's style through this to keep the feel of Fantastic Four the same as it has been. Very cool, and they do a great job of it. If you look at Romita's stuff on Spider-Man around this time, it does look a little different than this. This is very Kirby-esque in comparison. And you can see actually where Romita Jr. actually kind of gets his sort of stylistic looks, in some of his boxiness with what he does with his characters. He actually took that to an extreme, but his father kind of did that quite a bit right here. You've got a thing with Crystal, and she's having trouble surviving in the regular world. She's been away from the Inhumans too long, and she has to leave. And Johnny's going crazy because Crystal's getting sick, and eventually leaves. Now, at the beginning of this, also the Thing is under an experiment from Reed Richards to change himself back into Ben Grimm finally, and that experiment succeeds, but at a cost. So there's another plot that's going on. These are kind of the B plots, actually, but I find that's almost most interesting. Johnny gets really upset with all this, and that is the end of the first issue here. All right. Romita's still involved in the first couple issues here. It comes Buscema almost the whole deal. And there's this monster who's this guy's son, who this guy used to work with Reed Richards, basically. And even though he's causing trouble, it's an accident, and the Fantastic Four is just trying to save him at the end of the day. Classic Fantastic Four fare. Super fun. I really enjoyed this. I actually had more fun with this than I did with the last volume of Fantastic Four under Kirby. I gotta say that this was really just super enjoyable. So you see Buscema takes over. He's got a little bit starker, and I'd say more masculine of a look than Romita. Romita's really... he does the pretty women very well, and slightly different. But Buscema, if you compare his art in like Conan or Thor or whatnot around this time to this, he still does a lot more of that Kirby sort of stylistic bent to it than he does in his other work. So they try to keep things consistent here, and you can see that there's a Marvel House style, and it works out really well for the most part. Now, Ben Grimm is changed back into Ben Grimm, and not just the Thing. And he can change back and forth at will, but there's a problem now, in that the Thing is... the Thing is being too aggressive. So he's, like, with this, he's become, like, kind of almost evil. Like, he can't control his rage impulses. What's interesting is there's a character, Agatha Harkness, also in this, who's watching Franklin Richards. And they go to her, and she kind of just divins stuff for them. It's an interesting plot device to where she kind of gives them clues as to what they're supposed to be doing. Now, this plot here involves a guy who really wants to get into the negative zone. And that's it. His name's Janus. And there's this whole, like, they act like they've had adventures with him before and problems with him before. And then it's very, very interesting how they do this. They actually go back and give the origin of Janus, who has not appeared before. And Stan Lee says, "No, you haven't missed anything, true believers. Let's explain what happened." And they go back into this past adventure in the middle of this. And this is a Jack Kirby work, so he obviously did this before he quit. and I'm not sure the story behind that, but this exists. And you get back to Kirby, and you see there's very little difference between the Kirby look and the John Buscema look that came before. So Buscema's definitely making his art look a lot like this, which is cool. Marvel House style. Now, Janice goes to the negative zone, and Annihilus. This is a big, cool negative zone epic, which is a lot of fun. Back to Buscema again after that one Kirby fill-in there, which I guess was a older piece. And the Fantastic Four goes to the negative zone at this point, and has to deal with Annihilus. Annihilus becomes like a major villain in later Marvel stuff. And Annihilus is trying to capture the Fantastic Four and find his way into our universe to take over our universe as well. We've got this Janus guy in there, and unfortunately, Janus guy succumbs to the negative zone. Reed Richards traps himself in there to save the others. Look at this cool page. I love this splash page. The coloring is so cool with this like, you got that like flash lighting looking to it, and they just don't do this in modern comics so much anymore. Looks beautiful. Buscema, of course, does a wonderful expression here. Love this. Cool stuff. Will the Fantastic Four eventually, and check this out, Buscema goes so far as he even does these, like, you know, the collages that Kirby did to show outer space and things like that. He did that on this. Very cool. Very cool tribute there. So eventually they get Reed Richards back, of course, and they go back and help him. And that is that. Now the Thing is progressively getting angrier at this point. And now the Thing goes and starts trashing New York. Almost Hulk style. And gosh, wow. Makes you think of the Hulk quite a bit, doesn't it? They start to do a Fantastic Four storyline that feels very Spider-Man-esque here. So Peter Parker's always like dealing with like getting kicked out of his house, the rent problems, the media going after him, the people turning on him. Well, that happens at the Fantastic Four here. So you get that Stan Lee Spider-Man style plot right here as it comes. And I mentioned the Hulk before because now the Hulk shows up. They call Bruce Banner in to deal with him because who else can defeat the Thing other than the Hulk? Look at this awesome battle about to happen. And this is just pure fun. I mentioned that I like this better than the last volume of Fantastic Four. But, gosh, I mean, I might like it better than Kirby's Fantastic Four overall. Now, I know that's kind of blasphemy. But Kirby created a lot of cool things. But there's a lot of inconsistency to it. This is just pure fun all the way through. Epic Hulk battle here. This is the one that spawned the cover of this deal. And really cool stuff. The Hulk finally takes him down. We think Ben Grimm's dead at the beginning of this, but he's not. They just can't sense his heart because he's got such a thick whatever that orange stuff is. Rock? I don't even know. But they undergo their little ray treatment and of course bring him back. And as they get him back to normal, the Watcher shows up. And there's a character called Overmind, which is about to show up. And Agatha Harkness also talks about how this is going to be very dangerous for the Fantastic Four. What a cool thing. Enjoyable story again. And this is a new character that comes and attempts to take over everything. This is a guy who can telepathically control people. So it's something that has been explored again. You get back to the Hulk. A lot of Hulk stories involved with the Hulk being telepathically controlled. And this time, Reed Richards gets telepathically controlled by this character. And this is called The Secret of the Eternals, but it's not the Eternals you're familiar with. The Eternals that are part of the whole Kirby thing come a lot later. And these Eternals are somebody different, a different race that the Overmind came from. And they kind of melded all they were at war, and you get this whole backstory with them. And the Overmind guy has all of their sort of consciousness and intelligence with him, and that's how he can do this. And yeah, this is like a 4-part arc, pretty interesting. Now Archie Goodwin writes some of the issues through this. Archie Goodwin, does a great job on Marvel. He's one of those fill-in guys like Conway and Roy Thomas do. I think Roy Thomas even does an issue through here. Stan Lee's really getting into his like advertising persona by this point in the 70s, and he's starting to back off. But he does come back strong as he finishes off some of these arcs. I believe this is a extra large issue. Now what happens here is Doom actually comes in and is brought in to help stop Overmind, because Overmind is controlling Reed Richards, and Doom joins the Fantastic Four, which happens later also in the series. But I believe this is the first time they've really teamed up like that. Very interesting stuff. And that ends, and then just completely new story starts as Johnny's off trying to find Crystal, with Archie Goodwin doing this, and they bring back the character of Diablo, who hasn't been around for a long time. I think, gosh, his last appearance was, it says somewhere in here. I don't remember, but at least 50 issues ago in terms of Fantastic Four. Now, apparently he was in Marvel Superheroes number 20. And this is stuff that, like, Marvel had a few titles like that really don't get collected like this. And I hope they do bring those out in Epic Collections also. I'd like to read those. But Crystal gets mind controlled here by Diablo. Beautiful drawing of Crystal here. Buscema makes her very pretty compared to how Kirby did. I think he actually surpassed Kirby in that regard. Love that design right there. This cool dress looks awesome. And the Torch eventually has to deal with her, and the Fantastic Four shows up, and she has to leave again because she's sick. Now this story ended. It was weird. It was like only 14, 15 pages. So they have a backup story in here, also done by Goodwin and Buscema, of the Thing. He disappeared and with Lockjaw and came back in the middle of this. And I guess he went to this other universe when he did so, and it was for 5 pages. Very bizarre. But it seems like they just like, oh, we better fill this story out. The next, so that's probably the best. It kind of goes downhill from there. This is all like the best content of Fantastic Four maybe I've ever read up until this point. But the last 6 issues, you get 2-issue sort of arcs at this point. They leave a cliffhanger, go to the next one. This one has to do with Black Panther, and they're hunting down somebody who stole some stuff from Wakanda. And then that's it. And then you get an interesting storyline about this guy called Gabriel, who acts like the Archangel Gabriel, and he says there's going to be an apocalypse. It's okay. I don't hate it. It's just like, I just feel like the stories up until this point meant a lot more and had a lot more character development for what was going on in the Fantastic Four. And now there's just not as much character development going on. This tends to happen around this period in Marvel in general. There's a lot of stagnated stories. At least they have Gabriel as a new character who's kind of something different. If you get into Spider-Man in this era, it's a lot of regurgitation of old stories. So it's a little better than that. Same with Thor at this point. And then Galactus comes back. So you get that, and I guess he's a robot herald of Galactus is what it turns out. And for some reason, Galactus betrays his own deal, saying he would never attack Earth again, and does it anyway. And that didn't feel the best. It felt like that feels out of character for Galactus, like they just wanted to bring him in here. I guess pump sales of the book with the Galactus thing. I don't know what their intention was. Silver Surfer drawing's great. Of course, Buscema drew the original Silver Surfer series, which spawns pretty shortly here, if it's not already by this point in Marvel history. So he's one of the better at that. Beautiful stuff. The art's wonderful. It's just this, like I said, this story just doesn't, you have an actual just knockdown, drag out fight with Galactus between the Fantastic Four and him, and just doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. All right. And then Galactus has a spaceship he has to travel through, I guess. That goes on and off in continuity. Doesn't always work like that. And Reed takes over that spaceship, basically. And so there's a kind of a standoff between them at this point. And eventually, they save the day. So, yeah, that's that. And again, like I said, they kind of do 2-issue arcs. You got the Gabriel for a couple issues, you got the Black Panther for a couple issues, and you got Galactus for a couple issues. Now you have Return of the Monster. Now, this was from the early 100s of Fantastic Four, where there was this monster, and he was causing havoc. And Reed's overtaxed himself, so he's in a hospital. And somebody in the this creature in the hospital steals Sue Storm. And the monster before was an alien creature, was the twist, that needed his ship repaired. And so the Fantastic Four had to do that for him. Very, very nice art again. It's just like the return of this it just felt like rehashing this story again. And there was a twist again where the monster like needed help with medicine, and for some reason he needed a human to administer the medicine to him. I don't know why. Thin reasoning for him to capture Sue Storm that didn't really make a ton of sense. There's actually a Ditko-esque panel here. These little close up on the eyes. You can see the little pained look that you often get from Ditko drawings, even though it's still Buscema. Very odd story to close out Stan Lee's career on, and that's it. This monster comes back. He just wanted to have medicine administered to him, and the Fantastic Four go off, and they have a new beginning after this. All right, so a weak ending to this from the story perspective. The art's beautiful. I love Buscema's work. Maybe more than Kirby in some regards. I know. Don't hate me. But the beginning of this was awesome. Like I said, some of the best Fantastic Four stories I've read, period, about the first 2/3 of this before it kind of loses its concern for the book, I guess, would be what it seems like. It seems like Stan Lee maybe phoned it in a little toward the end there. So either way, still worth reading. Great stuff. Like I said at the beginning of this, was awesome. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because the art's so great. The beginning of the book was just so great. I just didn't want to stop reading. So I can forgive the last 6 issues if it wasn't quite up to the beginning of this. And that is where it's at. We're out of the Stan Lee era now. We'll see where this goes with Fantastic Four. A lot of this stuff from now until the John Byrne era really just gets completely ignored and really isn't collected outside of Marvel Masterworks. So I'm excited to see that when those come out. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.